So I'll kick off my test review podcast with two pieces of bad news. First, I think this is a pretty hard test you'll need to study. And second, I'm including all 4 of the matching quizzes as test questions. The good news, of course, is that they're up on Moodle with unlimited attempts. You all recognize this image, right? So, where is it located? What religious tradition is it associated with? What ruler commissioned this work? What spiritual activity largely took place in this site? In other words, how did the worshipers perform their act of worship? And what other works that you've studied involve the same ritual? What was the primary function of this building? By the way, you want to know precise vocabulary words to answer those last 2 questions. I think you know them. What other Buddhist work did this influence? Hint. The work I'm thinking of has multiples of this kind of structure, but only in its upper or more heavenly layers. This image appears on more than one older AP test, and while it's not a required image for the new curriculum, I think it could still show up on the test. Besides, it's beautiful and well worth some study. So, what kind of object is this? What was its primary function in Muslim worship? What artistic features do you see on this work? And, big hint, what features do you not see on this or most other Islamic art, at least Islamic art that appears in a mosque and is not Persian? Some variation on that question appears several times. A free gift to my mind. What important influence did this building have on subsequent Islamic architecture? This shouldn't be hard. Just think about the essential elements of every mosque. What are the visual characteristics of Kufic script? How would you describe it? Note that the calligraphy on the bowl at the bottom left, like the calligraphy on the folio on the upper left, is Kufic. On the right, you see more curved and flowing Arab calligraphy associated especially with the Persians and also with the Ottomans. So in general, what are the characteristics of Islamic calligraphy? What kinds of art is it not associated with? Again, variations on this question keep popping up. How is Kufic script, or for that matter, all Arabic script, read? Think in terms of direction. What other work in this unit is read the same way? So here are some general multiple choice questions. I don't think they're hard ones. You know the drill. Here's another AP favorite. It was actually one of the images on the 2013 test image-based section, but it's appeared in other years as well, and now, of course, it's on our list of required works. So what is this? You all know that, right? Where is it located? What was its purpose? What material is it primarily built out of? What are those 4 tall towers? And hint, don't let those towers confuse you about the purpose of the building. You see that large arched opening and the smaller arched openings on either side? They open out into the courtyard and are part of the building added onto the central rectangle dome plan. There's a term for that kind of room, and you've seen them in the mosque at Isfahan as well, term you need to know. What is the whole complex, including its elaborate pools and gardens, intended to represent and symbolize? Actually, I think you could guess that one even without having seen the video. What do Tibetan Buddhists believe about the origin of the statue that makes it special to them? I was surprised. There are a lot of questions about this work. Remember, I come up with all these questions from other sources. I don't write them myself, unlike the quiz questions. It might even be worth rewatching the Khan Academy video about this work. It's only 4 minutes. One question involves a term I meant to include in my lecture and forgot. I'm including it now. This work exhibits what art historians call horror vacui, or fear of vacuum. What that really means is that it fills every available space with decoration. We'll see this again when we get to some illuminated manuscripts from the Middle Ages. So I think you would have guessed the answer by process of elimination, but I'm handing it to you anyway. How do we know that this work was really important to the artist? I didn't actually talk about this in my podcast lecture, oops, but it was in the Khan Academy video toward the very end, and I'll give you a hint from the study guide in the video. What was the only calligraphy that was included in this work? What was this work's original use? I mentioned two possibilities in my lecture, by the way. Don't confuse its original use with the use that earned it a French title, but you need to know that use as well. What is one indication that this originally served as a secular and not a religious work? Same old question. How do we know that this was an important work? I'm going to give you some hints on this one. There are no images from the French royal family. I don't see any lions or peacocks. From that, you should be able to get the right answer, which you'd probably get anyway. What was the meaning of this erotic sculpture to Hindu worshippers? I talked about this in my Hindu art podcast. Okay, there are a lot of questions about this work since it's a previous AP favorite that also shows up on the new required works list. What is this building and where is it located? What is the purpose of the room at the upper left and other similar enclosed spaces in a mosque? What architectural feature does this particular room exhibit? You've encountered this term before, by the way, in Egyptian temples, just to give you a hint. What is the name of the part of the arch that is striped, the part that's leading up to the keystone? What term is used to describe this particular kind of arch, which is very typical of Muslim architecture? What purpose do these double arches serve? I'm going to give you one hint here. The hall had a flat roof. There was no vaulting. How did the architects borrow from the Roman architectural heritage? How was this building altered when Catholic Christians reconquered the city? This is a story from the history of which group of rulers? Careful, the answer is specific. These images do not appear on the test, but they'll help you answer one of the questions. How is this structure's exterior decorated? You'll get to the answer to this one if you remember what the carpet was made of. Hint, I'm talking about the primary material, that is the material of the pile, not the material of the underlying warp and weft. This material, the one that's the primary material, held its color particularly well. We've talked about this architect, how he was trying to one-up Hagia Sophia, and for that matter, the Byzantine Empire and its architects. I'm going to give you a big hint because I thought this one was kind of tough, maybe even a little unfair. The Emperor Justinian, whom you're going to be encountering pretty soon, was buried at the Church of the Holy Apostles, the second most important church in Constantinople under the Byzantines. During the Ottoman conquest of the city, the Ottoman soldiers plundered the church and Justinian's tomb. Think about where the mosque in this picture was located, and you've really got the answer. Okay, here's a hint. In fact, it really should give you the answer. The viewer did not enter this garden. Another hint. This is a Vairocana Buddha. What other huge work is also a Vairocana Buddha? And what earlier giant Buddha, I'm thinking further west, probably influenced both of these works? So what common element of Islamic artistic tradition does this work's decoration exhibit? The answer is clear from the photo, but the title and not the photo is what will appear on the exam. So these two images appear together in some of the questions, and it's important that you be able to tell them apart for the matching questions as well. So what political purpose did the temple on the bottom serve for the rulers who built it? What other work not shown here has a similarly ornately carved exterior? So here's the floor plan for the upper temple from the previous slide. Why does it have such a narrow interior? I'm not sure I talked about this in my podcast, but I'll give you a big hint. It's the same reason why the Temple of Amun-Re narrows to smaller and darker passages. Who can enter? So what was the function of this building? You need to know the Japanese term. What do these works have in common? Okay, there's an accept question about the architectural features of this building, and you get the answer from this slide if you know these images. Here are some more general multiple choice questions. This one's another College Board favorite. What is the building? Where is it located? What is housed within it, and what significance does this have to Muslims? And here's a hint. You need to know the religious narrative that goes with this. So what are the characteristics of Persian manuscript paintings or miniatures? What makes them different from other Islamic works? What makes them different from European paintings? More specifically about this work, what story is this painting, the Court of Gayumar, is telling? How would you describe the mood and style of the painting? I'm not going to give you this answer directly because I think you should be able to look at these adjectives and come up with the right answer. What are these designs called? What do they portray? So how do two cultures combine in this work? What are the European elements in this work? Good luck.